We are live.
Okay, sorry guys, I gotta go.
That's wonderful. Wonderful intro. Are we? Let me check my producer. Mr. Producer, are we live right now?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Welcome everybody to Table Talk RPG. My name is Axio, and here's Savvy. I don't know which side. I don't know where.
Use,
Like,
your,
are
use
you
your left hand. Your left hand. Left hand.
She's too. Okay, is this my left? Yeah, this is my left. There we go. There's
Can we?
Savvy.
Can you pause for a second because it's not showing online for me.
It's not?
No, it's
So-
live now. There it goes.
There
There
Okay.
we go. Yeah, just add a bit of the
Never
professionals.
There's no pause in OBS. It's either you go or you stop the stream, right? So there's.
No
You
problem.
Zoom in so far on my face. You gotta
Yeah, you gotta
zoom it out a little bit.
I cannot zoom it
This
out.
is this is what we do. We love our viewers so much. We want to bring them backstage with us to see the production, the scaffolding and all that stuff. So welcome
So,
everybody to today's Table Talk
welcome.
RPG show.
So-
Today we do have Ghost as an ethereal form. Ghost, are you there?
Yes, in my nature form, my natural form actually. So yeah,
Yes.
so I will say I will admit it. I did have some technical difficulties. My camera is being uptight about something. It doesn't want.
Problematic.
Yeah, it's being problematic and doesn't want to show my face. I don't know. I guess I am too ugly for TV. So yeah, or for internet. I guess I don't know.
For the internet.
Yeah, so we'll see. Okay, so let me go over to. Yeah, Savvy's supposed to be our PR, but Twitter, I did change the account information because, to be honest, I forgot about it. I forgot what the password was, so I changed it. And,
Professionals.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Hey, Ghost, just a second. Be quiet for a second, and then I'll tell you whenever to talk.
Okay.
Okay, talk.
All right. Are we good? No. Yes. Am I loud or am I being very, very, very low?
Okay, Knight says that he can't really hear you.
Yeah. I think this is the stuff
But-
that we talked about, Axio, right? I think this is the.
Your computer is really against you.
I
doing
know.
this
Today is
stream,
like
I
very,
guess.
very. All right, so I'm gonna do something, and let's see if that works, right? Because technology is not my friend today. All right. So how
To
about
all
now?
our
Is it better?
viewers, thank you. All of you, all 154,000 of you that are listening in right now, that are watching. Thank you so much
I
for
know, right?
hanging tight and seeing us
we'll-
through these technical issues. We will
Yeah.
be starting
Fact.
shortly.
I know. This is what happens is when you think you have time for this, right?
don't.
Then you realize you don't, and you're trying to fix things 5 minutes before, right? So, all right. So let me do this.
And Spark, just
Yo.
so you know, because we kind of want to like formalize this as a Twitch thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You are free to stay in here and listen, but we do ask that if you have comments or questions, if you could either type them into the discussion channel under Table Talk RPG, or go to our Twitch channel and type them in there, and that's kind of how we're gonna do discourse with people and
Oh, okay.
That's a-
feature their comments.
that
I
is
just
a-
want to let you know.
That is a very good PR move right there.
I feel bad, but I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right. If
will
Ready to go?
If
I'll feed
nobody
the
can
man.
hear me, let me know. If
What?
none of y'all can hear me, let me know, and I'll scream at the mic. I guess I don't know. I'll wake up my kid, my 3-year-old.
Do that.
I know, right?
That'll give you more time on Twitch.
I know, right? But yeah. So okay. So yeah. So topic for today, right?
All right,
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. We don't like to do preamble. We do need a theme song. So we're taking.
I have one.
Oh,
Might
do
be
you?
copyrighted.
Then don't. Then
music-wise.
don't.
No.
We can't do
So-
it.
so
don't
we-
know.
are mine.
So here's the thing.
Oh.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We talked to CJ about this, our audio engineer, and he said that because it's a parody, it's not copyrighted. So we're taking a known song and we're gonna change the words and the
I was gonna
lyrics.
say, it only starts with "I want to be the very best," the best there ever was, and then I won't continue because of copyright.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I
'cause
know.
then we're gonna get struck down by
So yeah, Twitch is pretty hardcore about that. So
Yeah, wait, wait, wait.
DMCA. Is that what it's called? The MCA takedown.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm
We don't
not-
wanna
I
go
don't
there.
wanna. I don't know.
But anyways, let's talk
All right, let's do this.
about tables.
So,
Let's do this.
Games.
All
right, so- disclaimer, right? We always got to put the disclaimer, right? None of the games that we're gonna mention from this point forward for the next, I don't know, 45 minutes, maybe half an hour. That's gonna last this conversation.
Today's short and sweet. It should be short and sweet today.
Yeah, and if it's not, we always go on a tangent. So yeah. All right. So the games that we're gonna mention in this stream, it's not we're not affiliated to any of them. We just love the games.
Ghost,
and-
I'm so sorry. You were like going in and out.
I don't know
really
what's going on,
bad.
honestly.
Your audio, your microphone is kind
Your
of
mic,
up a little bit.
it's not consistent. It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
So
I'm
I
sorry.
have no idea what's going on. So you know what I'm gonna do? Okay. F this. Give me 1 second.
No problem. While you go ahead and work on that, let's just kind of bring up the if you can just to bring up the topic itself. I'll do the honors, and then once you get yourself set up, you can join us. So today we're going to be talking about mechanics that we find innovative in different systems. Disclaimer: we're not affiliated to anything, any company or game IP or anything of the sort that we mentioned today. We're just fans, and we all of us have played different games, and we've noticed across our time playing games and different titles and different experiences we've had that some mechanics kind of stick with us. So today we're going to be talking about some of those mechanics that we find are transcendental and we find that kind of go beyond, and we almost wish we could transport them into whatever game we're playing. So in this regard,
Transcendental is a very high praise for my mechanics.
right?
that I
Transcendental
chose.
is such
How
a
about-
big word, right?
How about now? Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, so
Much better?
much better.
So much better, so much
Yeah,
better.
there it
Welcome
is.
back, buddy.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
All right. So,
all right.
So let's get started. And I think what we're gonna be doing, the way that we're gonna, for reference, those of you that are joining us now, and what I mean by now, I don't mean time wise in terms of today, but in terms of, or rather, in terms of today. If you've never heard us speak before, the way that we do this is we just converse casually and invite all of you to just join us in that conversation. So we're just gonna like mention our favorites. Ghost, I don't know if do you want to kick it off or you want to like let one of us go?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is all three of us, for myself, I will not mention Cortex whatsoever. I will not. I will not. Because
do either.
because I like about 75% of it or more. So there's we already talked about Cortex, right? So I'm not even
Okay.
gonna I'm not gonna talk
That's the
about it.
reason I didn't put it in my list. Is
No,
because I'm like, well, there's
so-
too much
We've
of
already
it.
said so much.
Uh,
I will, however, mention one. I do have one from Cortex that I just.
So-
But because Cortex is not technically my main game, then I get to say it. I do get to talk about that one. All right.
So the first one I will mention. So there's no particular order, right, for any of this. The one I will mention that I do really like is a couple of the mechanics from the system. It's called Index Card RPG. So that game, I have yet to run it for the Discord server. By the way, if you want to join the Discord, we have these conversations a bunch of times. So go down below. I'm making motions with my hands, but then I realized that my camera's not working. So
We
I'm
can't
like
see you.
waving in the air. Yeah. So
Like a real ghost.
I know. Hey.
All right. So yeah, so join the Discord. We have conversations like this all the time, and we play a lot of different games. And that's one game that I haven't introduced into the server yet. Maybe other people know it. Um, but the Index Card RPG is it's a D20 system, right? But people are like, oh my god, what is so innovative about a D20 system, right? And what's innovative, what was or what is, I would say, yeah, it's the action resolution, which is the D20. That is not the cool part about it. It's all the tools given to the GM because it is a DIY system. For those that don't know what that is, it's a do-it-yourself system. It's a toolkit, much like Cortex is, but it's a toolkit system for what do you call it? For the D20. It's a toolkit for D20, right? And so the mechanics of the D20 are the same, but there are certain things that make it very, very, very interesting and more, I guess, focused in a specific style of play. Because yes, it is a very specific styles of play. But yeah. So anyway, so one of the mechanics, first one, I like, and Axio can can vouch on this, are the timers, right? So
Oh
this
boy, timers.
so the designer Hank Farinail, he created he's from Runehammer Games. You can check all his stuff over there on the YouTubes, and they have the Runehammer forums as well. You can check those out. Yeah, so the timers are basically it's a pacing mechanic, but it's a literal pacing mechanic where you roll a die, whatever it is. He recommends a D4, but you can use any dice that you want, and then you roll it, and then in that many turns, because the game is run on specific turns, it's not free for all talking. So it's always in turns. Doesn't matter what type of situation, what type of encounter, whatever it is, it's always in turn, and people get to do something all the time. So you can do it in turns. You can do it in rounds. So let's say I have a D4, roll it, 2 comes out. So whatever me as the GM decides, if in 2 turns or in 2 rounds, something will happen that will change the dynamic of the scene. That to me was mind-blowing and a game changer, because you can take that to every single game that you play and it will change everything, right? But there's some good and bad sides, right? There's the good side. It's awesome for you to keep your players guessing. Now, bad side, which we ran into a little bit. Not bad side, I would say maybe like a little bit of a negative, I guess. I don't know. Is it's very focused on high-paced games. Games are fast and furious, and there was something going on all the time. So and so it's a very different mindset than what players coming from like PBTA or Fate, Cortex, or that kind of mentality. It's completely different. Not saying it's bad. It's not bad. It's just
It's not
very,
bad.
very. It's a very different style of playing, and that to me is my first like one. Once I saw it and I actually implemented it, I was like, oh my god, this is just awesome. It is very, very, very awesome. Right. So, and I think I've talked long enough for now. So I'll move over
Very
to
cool. Yeah, we'll,
Paz.
we'll just do it like round. I don't like round robin. Like we'll just take each one takes a turn,
Mhm.
or I don't know if round robin is the right term, but whatever. Today's a weird day for all of us. We
Yeah,
can't we
today's
can't find our
it's we've.
vocabulary. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, actually on that mechanic, we've spoken at length about that mechanic, and it brings to mind something that some turn-based strategy games, video games do, which is they'll give you like a little timer. It says you have 10 turns to rescue the hostages, or you have 10 turns to get to the green little box at the end of the map, or what have you. And what that does, it creates a sense of urgency in the player.
Hmm.
So I actually agree. That is a very, very cool mechanic, and it is something in a way that, and I think it's going to be the same for most of the mechanics that we're going to be talking about today. Sometimes these mechanics are things that GMs have kind of always done,
Yes.
but
Yes.
it always takes one game to kind of like formalize it, right? to,
Yeah.
to make it concrete
Make it an actual
by
written rule. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, right,
Hmm.
right, right. So in that regard, I think that Hank did a wonderful job in kind of putting a, and I assume and I imagine, and sometimes we have to remember that there's hardly anything new under the sun. So sometimes some mechanic we think that we've seen it for the first time
Yep.
in some game, but maybe like some earlier game from like 19 somethings already featured something similar. So for those of you who are listening, if you hear any of our mechanics and you hear us claim, for example, oh, the mechanic in this game in particular, and you know of a game that has probably done it in a very similar way earlier, please let us know. Go ahead and type it on chat or send us a message on Discord, and we'll be very happy to read it and respond to that. So, and we'll become educated in the process. All right, so I want to talk about my first one, and then I guess we'll just continue kind of going around in that. My first one is, and it's related to PBTA, and it's the idea of moves being triggered versus play like activated by the player beforehand. I'll explain what I mean. For those of you who are unfamiliar with PBTA style games, the idea behind a more traditional non-PBTA style game would be more like you literally look at your character sheet and you say, well, because my character can do this and because my character can do that, I want to do like this particular skill. I want to enact this skill that I have here, or this special action. I want to do this thing, right? Like I want to do the hacking slash. You know, I paid this amount of points and I do hacking slash for 10 damage, or you know, it's like an activation. However, in PBTA style games, it's more like no, you don't have to particularly think about what your character sheet kind of limits you to do. You do whatever you want. Your character does whatever your character wishes to do. And if what your character wishes to do happens to be a move that is on your character sheet that triggers, then it gets triggered, right? And technically, if you really deconstruct it, it's different sides of the same coin. But that shift in thinking is very liberating for me to think, oh, my character isn't really limited to a specific set of actions. It's more like whatever action I want to take, I take, and then suddenly the character sheet, even the way that it's phrased on the character sheet, it says something like, whenever you open the door in this way, then this and this thing will happen. Roll these amount of dice, and then if you succeed, this happens. If you fail, this happens. So again, it's kind of like a very abstract type of mechanic where instead of something being actively activated, you do whatever you want, and then it's almost like landing on a mine, like triggering an effect that happens. That codification is to me a very cool idea.
So that is like the prime example of like player agency, right? That is
Right.
that is the
Mhm.
example, like PBTA when they
Yep.
came out, when the Apocalypse World, way back when, now we can say that in RPG terms because there's like games coming out every single week, right? I think. So we
Yep.
can say that way back when it came out, it was completely different and completely new to what the traditional way of thinking was. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good
And
one.
interestingly, it kind of, I don't know, like what I find brilliant about it is that there's, to someone who is uninitiated in PBTA and you talk to them about PBTA, and the moment they hear the term playbook and they take a look at a playbook, they would almost like, I couldn't blame anyone for thinking, oh, this is very restrictive and prescriptive.
Mhm.
Like that means that my entire character is already pre-codified for me. Like I can't move outside of this kind of like, little like template that has been given to me. And I admit that was the reaction I first had when I thought about, when I think the first PBTA game that I participated in was like at a con, and it was Monster of the Week. And upon reading, I felt that the character sheet already kind of predetermined everything I could do, and the game itself uh, was almost already predetermined. But no, interestingly, the GM at that moment kind of clarified it for me and said, no. You lit, because I was wondering. I said, okay, what can I do? What can my character do? And then GM said, no. Your character does whatever fits the vision and the archetype, whatever fits, whatever you want to do, and then certain things you will do will enact or will have a mechanical kind of effect,
Mhm.
and there's two ways to kind of play PBTA, right? I mean, it's just as valid for someone that wants to look at their character sheet and actively do something that will trigger a move. I've seen that happen, and that's perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, that brings its own reward, because when the player does that, the player is playing to the tropes of the archetype, and that's always
Yep.
good news for
Yep.
the theme.
Mhm.
But any other player could just as well go the other way around and say, look, I'm just going to do whatever, and then if whatever I do happens to fit one of the moves, it happens to trigger, then so be it, and great. And both playstyles are perfectly supported, and I will vote for that as my first kind of innovative mechanic. A thing that I honestly, going forward in different games that I may or may not run in the future, I would wonder how much of that I could do without falling completely into a PBTA design ethos. How much of that can I bring into maybe in the way that I phrase the game or the way that I present the game to my players to let them know, look, it's an open world. It's a clean canvas. You do whatever you wish, and then we'll see what mechanic fits it. And that falls a little bit in line with Fate, which is action first, right? You think of you want to do, then we'll find what mechanic fits what you want to do, and that to me is a pretty wonderful thing. And now it's Savvy's turn. Savvy,
Yeah.
hi.
Hi. I just want to say for the people who are contributing their ideas, what we'll do is as we're taking turns, you guys will get a turn and Ghost can voice some of those. Or actually, you know what? I've got what I want to go into, but first I'm looking at Max's list. He's got a
Yeah, he
pretty
gave a
succinct
huge
list.
Very
list. That's
cool.
awesome. That's
I'm
I
awesome.
apologize. I can't
impressed.
see. I'm not on text, so I can't see the chat. So I apologize that I didn't mention it when it happened.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's in discussion in the Discord.
Oh, so let me. Okay, great.
So no excuses.
No
Anyway,
excuses. I apologize.
I'm impressed with the amount of RPGs that Max has been a part of
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
familiar
Those
with
are
because
some of
I'm
them are
not.
really good games. Others are,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But the one I wanted to point out, I haven't personally gotten a chance to play in it, is Gumshoe, and I have heard
Gumshoe.
great things about its
Yeah.
its whole investigation system, and I am super into investigation games, and I'm about to go into that in a second. But the fact that you have the clues, the players get the clues, like it's not locked behind a gate, not locked behind a dice roll, so that it keeps on keeping on. And I'm just going to use that as a segue into Brindlewood Bay, which is a PBTA hack that I adore. I have literally only run half of a one shot. Half. We didn't even finish it because it turned into a multi shot and then scheduling, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to be able to play it more or run it more soon. Anyways, that relies on investigation, and some of the intrinsic mechanics within that game itself are a few things. There's one called the Cozy Corner, and it's one of my favorite things. Basically, in the game, you're an old lady. You're part of a book club called the Murder Mavens, and it's basically Murder She Wrote, and they all like try to go solve
Murder
mysteries.
Mavens. I love
Yes, they're
it.
called the Murder. It's
Wow.
fantastic. Anyways, all these ladies, they have a cozy activity like knitting or sewing or walking their cat or whatever they like to do. And they have a cozy corner that is basically like their inventory, and it's what's around their home. And at the beginning of the game in session 0, you don't get to choose what's in your cozy corner. You go around the table, and each of the players, after you introduce who your character is, they suggest something about your character that they may
Wow.
possess, and it helps like kind of flesh out relationships and flesh out the characters themselves, and that's really fun. It doesn't it could be applied to other things. It doesn't just have to be old ladies, but it's really cute. And then there's another mechanic called the vignette, and every single session it's called the cozy vignette. Everything's cozy except for murder.
Yeah.
And you basically it's like a little zoom in Cortex we'd call it a scene or a tag scene, I think.
Yeah.
Would be appropriate.
Tag or bridge scene. Yeah.
Yeah, a tagger bridge, and you just zoom in and you see the player playing their character in what is a typical day that day that they're gonna go solve this murder. What are they doing? Blah blah blah.
Wow.
That's fun, but I will actually, since Gumshoe, the clue thing was mentioned, I just wanted to say another one of my favorite things about the system is that you, as a GM, are given a list of clues that can possibly be found. None of the clues are hooked to a scene. You're also given scenes. You choose to drop them anywhere where the mavens have a successful investigate roll. So if they're successful, you just pick a clue, you drop it somewhere logical, and that's what they find. And at the end, not even the GM knows who the murderer is. This is my favorite part.
Play to find out
Nobody
what
knows.
happens.
You literally play. This is like the heart of it, which is PBTA, right? But they
Definitely.
totally focus on this.
Awesome.
And you have to just there's actually a move called theorize, and one player rolls for the entire group, and after they discuss who did it, like who done it, and they have a suspect, and they're like, it was this person because of this with the crowbar in the kitchen, whatever. And
Colonel Mustard with a crowbar
yeah.
in the kitchen. Yeah.
And then if they succeed on their theorize roll, then that is who did it. And
That
then
is
they can bring
wonderful.
it. But if they don't succeed, then it's not. And then
Trouble.
there's like trouble that happens with
Trouble ensues.
complications.
Yeah, because they're accusing
Yeah.
the wrong person.
I almost feel you can take that and like drop it into any game. I would think that
Yeah.
you can take those ideas and kind of drop them into your 5th edition game or into your Pathfinder game or into your Cortex game, or anything of the sort, right?
Yeah.
You can. I said it. You won't say it, but I said it. Anyway, go on.
I think you totally can. Yeah, it's something that it's more of a mindset.
There we go.
Because when I first did that, I was like, I don't even know who did it. And it takes away like some control, and it's like kind of anxious.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm so excited to run it. But that was the first. Okay, that was
That's
3
awesome.
mechanics, but 1 game. So yeah, we'll
So it
circle
counts.
back around.
It'll count. It'll count.
It'll count.
Ghost,
It's fine.
If
It's
you
fine.
want to,
Yeah, I'll pick one from there.
Cool.
So
and if you wanted to go in on like introduce sparks.
yeah, so I'm still trying to the mechanic, the clock from Blades in the Dark. That's
I don't know how it
so
works.
that's so that
I'll tell. I can talk a little bit about it. I don't know. Are you gonna say something about that? Because I can talk a little bit about clocks.
yeah, I can say something. But what I was gonna actually
Yep.
say is from Max
Mhm.
from the Black Hack. Black Hack it's a very simple, brilliant game. It's an awesome, like the rules are like 10 pages, maybe 16 pages. I'm not sure. But it's a very, very short. Everything else is for the GM on how to build adventures, hex crawls, dungeons, whatever. I love that system. Anyway, so yeah, so Black Hack has this cool mechanic where every item that you have or resource supply, whatever it is, has a usage die. Basically, let's say they have like I don't know, like a D10 usage die or something like that. I don't know. Whatever the die is, that means how much you have of it. And then basically whenever you use it, you roll it. And I could be completely wrong about this, by the way. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Just if anybody can correct me, they can correct me. That's fine. I don't care. But as I understand it from the last time I read it, you throw the die, and then if it lands, I think it's like 1 or 2 or 1 through 4 or something, like it's a very, very small number. And if it lands in one of those, then you have to lower the die type down. So you lower the die type. So you start at D20 maybe, and then it goes down to a D12. It gives the specific dice that you have available, and then you keep going. But if you roll above any of that, then you still have that item. So why I thought that was brilliant, because you can actually do that with anything. You can use
You can
that
also
with
bring that in.
you can use that as a timer. You can use that as a So I was
Ammo for
as
your
ammo. Yeah,
quiver,
that
for
that
the
is what it is.
quiver.
That is what it is.
Yeah,
There's actually says arrows, and you have a usage die for arrows, right?
yeah.
And then so I was thinking of using it when I was really into index card RPG or ICRPG henceforth. Um, I was thinking of creating a game or a hack of a game, whatever, and I wanted to use that in a specific way because so every time the players did something, they had to roll a specific die, a d20, and if they fail, which is the 1 through 4, 1 to 2, whatever it was, and they fail, then something bad happens, right? And then they lower the die type, and then they keep doing it, and if they keep failing, then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, right? But it's all presented through the mechanic of the game and the narrative of the game, the story. So it all fit very well. I never got a chance to actually playtest that, um, but that's stuff that happens. But
It
yeah,
is.
so that's another one
That's
in
another
there.
one. I want to bring up what Spark talked about regarding clocks. This what I love about clocks is that they fix the proverbial problem where your players you say, well, you're in the city, and then they do everything except take the hook for the adventure. And you tell them, well, right now the sky has just opened and a dragon is putting its foot through the hole and it's about to step over that little village over there, and everybody's gonna get stomped and calcinated by the flaming flames of the flame dragon. And then you say, what do you do? And your first player does, I go order a beer. And the other one goes, I'll go with you. And the other one goes, what do I see when I look at my feet? And the other one goes, and everyone just does everything except go take care of the dragon, right? So the idea of the clock is that the GM can advance a clock based on the
Mhm.
actions of the players, and the advancement of the clock just means that the agenda of the forces at play in your world progress because your players did nothing about it. So you can
Yeah,
create a sense of urgency, but in a more global kind of
yeah.
like
You
background
can,
scale.
yeah.
Can
So
I
that.
argue one point? It's not even an argument. That should have been taken care of your session in your session 0.
I agree. I agree. And actually, I do
Okay.
have a comment about that. Um,
So
and I think we should do another show at some point about session 0. And the thing is, something I've noticed is that, of course, the more you get to know your players, that but sometimes even when a player kind of commits to wanting to do something a certain way, they commit, but then halfway through the game, they just don't care anymore. But I guess clocks are a way to keep people on their feet, but in a much less immediate way than the
yes,
than the timer
yeah.
that Ghost mentioned. The,
So
the timer is very immediate, and the clock is
yeah.
more like world spanning.
Impending, yeah.
So yes, and I'm gonna say yes and no, right? So the clock, you can use it for immediate things. You don't have to use it
Hmm.
for global things. So the good thing about the clocks from Blades in the Dark, you can use it for anything. You can go as broad, which was the one of the mechanics that I was gonna talk about, which is the fronts from Dungeon World and from Apocalypse World, right? The fronts of like, hey, if the adventurers don't really do anything, then all these things will happen, and then eventually something really bad will happen. But the clocks are a way you can put clocks within clocks. That's the beauty of the Blades in the Darks mechanic. You can do a clockception, I guess. That's what you want to call it. I don't know. If nobody's seen the movie, then yeah, you're missing out. Anyway, so you can put clocks within clocks, and that will make it go as broad as you want it, or as immediate as you wanted at like literally what's happening right now. So I think what John Harper did with that is genius, honestly, because and that's when you look at it, I'm gonna take a 10,000 foot view here, and what they I think we talked about it in the previous show is that when you're talking about mechanics, they all these authors and designers, they borrow from each other, and they just mix things, take them apart, they redesign things, and And so maybe what one put in, about Blades in the Dark, maybe is like, hey, I'm gonna invent, hey, maybe it's not called a clock, it's called something else, and it's gonna do something similar, but in this other way that makes it, unique, or what we think it's innovative. But yeah, but Blades in the Dark clocks is an awesome mechanic. Yeah, that should be implemented like in almost every game. So, except with the, the old ladies with the thing. You can. It's just that,
Cozy corner. I love that
No,
term.
it would totally work.
it would work.
The
But the thing is, but
danger
for the clock,
hooks.
you need to know what's gonna happen at the end, and in that game you
Right,
won't.
because there's a
That's Yeah. So
consequence.
so you that
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of the game isn't really to focus on the whole picture, though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just following sassy ladies making trouble.
Yeah. Making trouble with their cats.
Yeah, they could have cats.
An
Can
army of
can
cats.
can I I'm gonna do the thing that we said we wouldn't, and I'm going to just mention the small little snippet of a mechanic from Cortex Prime because
Okay.
I thought in
Alright.
my brain, if there's
Alright.
one thing that I could take from Cortex Prime and it could just be that, what would it be? And it's got to be assets. Because the fact that you don't have to do any bookkeeping or any micromanaging of your inventory, all of that, or even micromanaging of the scene that you're in, your
Mm-hmm.
surroundings.
Yeah.
That was like a mind blower for me coming from Pathfinder. It was like a relief being able to just be like, "Oh, I can spend a plot point or I can roll some dice to say that I created this or I found this or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
it in
Yeah.
my dice rolls." I'm like, that
Yeah.
if I could take anything, it would
Yeah.
be assets.
So that is something that um, Gumshoe does, right? Gumshoe, they don't do it with assets. They don't call it assets. They just call it investigation, like abilities or whatever. And basically, you have points that you spend in order to have an item. In order to, hey, I so I'm investigating a scene and it has to do with like history of like ancient Egypt or whatever. But because I'm a historian, based on that, I already get the clue, right? And
Yeah.
then I spend points just to get more information out of it. That's the game of Gumshoe, which is a good system. Don't get me wrong. It just needs to be. I just had a bad experience with it when I played it. Played it
But
in
you
a
can just
con.
grab, just grab the little things from it and pull it into your
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
It's
thing.
yeah, I just
it's
I just had a
because
bad experience.
I
Yeah, it's just.
didn't GM it. It's because you didn't have me as a GM.
This is truth. Legit.
It's
That is very
legit.
Legit.
true. That is very true, though. I
I
laugh, but it's
believe
true.
that your talk of assets is a good segue probably into my next one, which is fates create an advantage action. And
Yep. Mm-hmm.
for those of
Yep. Yep.
you who are uninitiated, the idea behind a narrative game is that, or one of the ideas, of course, not the idea, but one of the ideas is that whereas in a more traditional game, the elements of a character are very clearly delineated in a more simulationist kind of way. In a narrative game, nothing is important until the spotlight falls in it. And one example, which interesting, I'm talking about fate, but I think the best example that explained this, I found it on the Cortex book, is when you say if an action hero is in a scene when they are unarmed and they grab like a crowbar from the ground and then hit the nearest person, the important part of that scene was never the crowbar. It was the person taking the crowbar and doing the action.
Yeah.
However, the director of the movie could suddenly like swing the camera to the crowbar and then focus on the crowbar really hard and then probably on the brand of the crowbar. It says Craftsman. Really, we're not affiliated with Craftsman anyway. But it's just like like it, and it's something, and suddenly you feel, wait a minute, that crowbar is important to the plot, right? Like you bring the crowbar, you bring some importance to it, and that's how you build it into an asset that now gives you a dice, right? In Fate, the idea is create an advantage. Any action that you take that is not going to actively harm a player or defend against another player's harm or overcome some kind of obstacle, then you call that an advantage. Like for example, let's say I'm playing this swashbuckling hero who is doing like a duel against like this other nemesis, right? Clink, 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 clink with a sword. And then suddenly my character wants to grab some sand and throw it in the eyes of the enemy.
It came from his pocket.
Yeah, from the pocket, like he's got sand and this rah,
Well,
and
where
then
have you been? You got sand in your pocket.
and then the what the GM would do in that moment is, for example, when the player wants to do that, player says, "I want to throw sand in the character's eyes," and the GM will go, "Well, I assume that this has, you're trying to, blind them momentarily, right, or something." Yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay, if the action is not to harm as in take them out of the scene, but rather create an advantage that will let you hit them harder or run away better, or that gives you an edge, they call that a create an advantage action. And what they do is you roll the dice, and if you're successful on creating the advantage, then you create a little aspect that says blinded by sand, and now that's tagged into the enemy. So that just became a narrative truth, which means that as a GM, now I have to narrate that enemy as not being able to see, like, oh no, my eyes. And then if the main character takes another move at some point, and in the fiction it is reasonable that the enemy still is blinded by the sand, it's not their turn yet or whatever, then the character can redeem that advantage for an extra damage for the hit. So creating advantages becomes kind of like a volleyball game where you can set up the thing, and then you set up different advantages, and suddenly you go for the spike, boom, and then you deliver like a really hard hitting hit.
Yeah.
That's hard hitting hit. Yes, folks, that is my use of the language today. Hard hitting hit.
10 out of 10.
So yeah, so actually when you're talking about set it up, and I actually was in a conversation on Twitter where they asked about GM-less games, right? And you know which one I brought to the mix, right?
Of course.
From Sean Tompkin, Iron Sworn, right? Talking about the whole creating the he actually liked my comments, so I'm just gonna say that.
My hero
thing. I'm gonna say that live. Anyway, so what I'm saying with the creating an advantage is what Sean Tompkin did for Iron Sworn. We're not affiliated with him. Just disclaimer out there.
Not affiliated.
So
we're not affiliated with. Let's just make the general. We're not affiliated with anyone. We're barely affiliated to each other. That's why we fight so much. All right.
So he created all this stuff about narrative and creating event, rolling dice, all that stuff. He just created a simple abstract mechanic.
Yes, you
momentum.
stole that one. Yes, momentum. Love it.
Hey, it was a complete. It's a perfect segue.
Amazing.
So momentum.
It is a perfect segue. It's amazing.
And momentum is a way that it's a little what do you call that? Like a I don't know, some numbers. It's a list of numbers, like from -2 to 10.
Oh my god, that does have a name.
We don't have English today.
God, what's wrong with our language today? Can we even speak Spanish still? I think we forgot our main language as well. Whatever.
I don't know. Anyway, so let's call it a ladder, right? When it's like it's from -2 to 10, and that shows is literally so let's go back to the example of throwing sand in the eyes, right? So if you're successful in doing that, then you just either add 1 or add 2 to the momentum. That is it. You don't have to create all these words and all these aspects, right? To just say that you did this. And then when it comes time, when you have built enough momentum, you burn that momentum to guarantee a success. So that's is
true. Very cool. And it's a much better way to do.
It is such a good mechanic, and it's a PBTA game, but it's only PBTA because it has moves. Yeah. It doesn't have playbooks. It doesn't have the 2d6 plus whatever stat. It's completely different to what PBTA is supposed to be, or what we think PBTA is supposed to be.
It's a brilliant game. Check it out, guys. It's free at
It's free
Iron
on
Sworn
Drive-Through
RPG.
RPG on the website. I think it sends you to Drive-Through RPG on his website. But yeah, it's free PDF. Totally recommended. It's and it is expansions that are coming out, the Delve and the Starforge, which is Iron Sworn in space. So anyway, that momentum, I think it's one that should not go unmentioned, right? But yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we have any
And
others?
well, I just wanted to include for our D&D Pathfinder
Oh
D20
yeah.
people
Yeah.
because makes up like 90% of the TTRPG player base.
Truth. It's true. Whether
It
we
is
like
very
it or not,
true.
it's very true.
It is true. It is
And
true.
we love every single one of them.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
I came from Pathfinder, and the action economy in Pathfinder is atrocious, and it takes 500 years to complete a round of combat.
500.
It takes about 300 years for Pathfinder
300,
2.
give or take.
But Pathfinder 2 has what people say the action economy that should have been in Dungeons and Dragons. Like Pathfinder 2 is what Dungeons and Dragons 5e should have been, is what I've read. Don't crucify me.
No. I will let them crucify me. Index Card RPG is what
Okay,
5th
but you
edition
also
should
have
been.
that. Yeah,
There
you
go.
have that.
I'm gonna say that out there. I no holds barred. No, I don't care. You can I don't know, burn me at the stake later. Hate mail. I will die on that hill.
Report. Yeah, report all. Anyways, Pathfinder 2e action economy. Each action. So there's an action. You get 1, 2, or 3 actions, and that's assigned to anything that you can do in the game. 1, 2, 3 actions or a reaction. That label or tag is assigned to everything in the game. And whenever you are in combat, every character gets 3 actions and 1 reaction. And of course, like moving your movement speed is 1 action. And so it's just like a matter of like comparing what you want to do with how many actions you have. And then you get a free reaction, and you no longer have to go through like, is this a free action? Can I do this? How long does it take me to do this, that, or the other? Like, it takes all the guesswork out, and it's super simple. That being said, I still don't prefer it, but I preferred it more before my eyes were opened. I loved Pathfinder 2e compared to Pathfinder.
And
Never played D&D, but
and there's a group of people that love that crunch and love that tactical kind of thing, and it's a great system for them.
So for the action economy, for people who love the tactics and the crunchiness, that simplifies it so people can get down to the real number crunching, which is like damage numbers and stuff.
Well, now I will speak about Cortex because I can. All of us can. But for reference, Cortex is a great system that Savvy and Ghost kind of like introduced many of us to the game. Savvy and Ghost have kind of like made that their current main kind of like thing. For me, it's still not quite there, not because it's a bad system, but because I happen to have like an interest at the moment. I'm interested in some other stuff.
Ghost says it's not you, Cortex. It's me.
No, actually, this is exactly what it is. It's not you, it's me. However, I will say that there is one mechanic that is absolutely brilliant to me. One of the things that I've always been very, what I've always felt awkward about was HP. HP and I don't have a good relationship. I'm not a fan of HP. We're not, by the way, we're not affiliated with Hewlett Packard, and I'm not talking about the computer company. I mean hit points, right? So hit points are very weird because maybe not because of what they mean to me, but because when you sit at the table with a group of 4 to 5 people and you ask each one of them to tell you what HP means, you're going to get 9 different answers that are all correct. The idea is that to some, HP is literally your life. To others, HP is just a pacing mechanism. It just makes the fight go longer or shorter. For others, is some other thing. The idea is that it's very difficult to quantify things that are very qualitative, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, that are based more on the quality of things instead of the quantity of things. How do I quantify strength? How do I quantify, different things? It's very difficult to arbitrarily choose. Well, somebody has 44 life, but in the sense of HP, what depending on the modules you choose in Cortex, when you are having a contest against an opponent, let's say in the conflict, let's say you're attacking and being attacked by an opponent, um, Cortex uses what's called an effect die along with the roll. So if you win your roll, or if you lose your roll, you also choose an extra die for which the die type determines the strength of that hit or non-hit. So let's say I choose my number. I say, well, I'm going to roll my dice pool. I choose my 2 dice that are going to give me success or failure, and I choose these 2. I will choose a third die, which will become my effect die, right? So if I win the roll, that means I struck the enemy. But the effect die will determine how hard I struck the enemy. And if the enemy's die or effect die is lower than my effect die, then I've struck them enough to take them out of combat. Whatever that may mean. It may not necessarily mean death, but it takes them out of the scene. You took them out of the scene because your die type was higher than theirs. And you might say, well, that sounds very extreme and too quick. That the fight can go by in only one turn. Well, that makes it very tactical, because if the opponent can already predict or perceive that there's no way they can get a winning roll, then they can choose a higher effect die, so that when you win your roll and you choose your effect die, their higher effect die means that they're not taken out of the fight. They instead take a consequence, like open wound or broken leg or torn ear or broken nose, because their effect die, the defense effect die, was higher than the attack die. You didn't take them out immediately. So you could technically have a fight that goes back and forth for the same 3 or 4 rounds that you would have taken using HP, but now the effect seems much more tactical, cinematic. You could defend yourself, and let's say you can't produce the effect die that you need. You can still pay a plot point and still kind of absorb a consequence. The idea is that through this mechanic, we can get rid of HP altogether while still having the same pacing mechanism, the same pacing kind of tools to make a fight that should be memorable last longer or shorter. And I think that is a very cool system, and I love it, and I love Cam for it. If Cam is listening, thank you so much for that mechanic. And I will tell you that mechanic is what single-handedly probably making me want to run my next game in Cortex, because I love it. I love the idea of it so much, and it's a very good thing, very cool thing.
We should
All right.
probably look at wrapping it up here.
It is
Yeah.
9. We must go.
And here we are. Axio's like, yeah, let's keep this 30 minutes. Let's keep
Yeah,
this
I know,
nice and
right? I
short.
know.
I'm usually the
Uh,
one that goes, guys, we should really be measured with our time. We should just make it very short, and then I blah 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 blah, and I just won't shut up. So
53 minutes. So
Yeah, we've it's all right. We had a little bit of a
technical problem at the
technical
beginning.
problems in the
Mhm.
beginning. Yeah, so we'll see if we can get those fixed for next week. All right. So closing arguments, closing remarks. There's a lot of games out there, people. There's a lot of games out there. There's a lot of I don't know, different needs and different wants that people have, and
don't be offended if your favorite mechanic wasn't mentioned, because it's probably
oh
because,
yeah.
especially by
We
me, I am only familiar with approximately like 4 or 5 systems.
okay.
Not even 3 systems. Yeah, totally 3. Yeah.
So, and we like trying new games. We love playing games, right? Because each game will offer something, right? Will bring something to the table that others won't, and that's why it's its own system. If not, it wouldn't be its own system. So, yeah, we don't have time to cover all of them, right? Because there's just too many to mention. It's ridiculous how many games are out there nowadays. But if you think you can go on over to our Discord. We can chat
Yes.
about that. We can keep
Come talk
talking about
about
that.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and talk about not just that, but anything you want to talk about. You can suggest topics if you want to. I don't think. Do we have a topic for next week?
No.
And
Oh,
do we ever?
I don't think so. All right, so, but I'm gonna suggest one for you because I know we did talk a little bit before we actually started streaming about a couple weeks ago. It was about uh, rules heavy, rules light games, stuff like that. That I think
Mm-hmm.
why one is not. I'm not gonna say it's better than the other, but why one benefits a certain play style or certain GM style, and then than the other does. So
Very cool.
I
Yeah.
think that might be a good. If
Sounds like a
not, then
plan.
or probably the same day we're probably gonna change and be like, no, we're gonna do this now, and it's just
It is very likely we're gonna start talking about it and then digress to some other like topic.
That's probably why we leave like the notifications to the last minute because we're probably gonna change our minds at some point.
We're
And
professionals.
so another thing. So we might have in the future we might do some streams of actual plays, some games and stuff. So be on the lookout for that.
And be a player. Come in, be a
Yeah,
player.
if you want to play.
Uh,
Okay.
Selfless shout out. Not really. I'm going
Shameless
to be
plug.
streaming. That's what I was thinking.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
English.
plug. I am going to be streaming our Brindlewood Bay game, and it's going to be hilarious and fun. And I would invite you all to
Amazing.
join me. However, we're full up. Sorry, but you can come watch. It'll be great. I've
Yeah.
got a cast of terrific role players, and I am extremely excited to get that started. That'll be mid-April.
All right. Yeah. So
Very cool.
I might run something. I don't know. I'm not gonna ask Axio because I know he's not going to.
Never.
So he's never gonna run anything.
Never.
Actually, he promises once school's out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
once,
he does.
after probably in the summer, but I do have some news to share about that, but privately with you guys regarding that.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. That's all right.
So
All right.
excited, and now I'm sad.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be we're probably gonna go a bit longer in a Axio running things drought.
Ah,
I'll explain later.
that's
Anywho,
fine.
thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Thanks everybody. You guys are amazing, guys. If I may say something, the show is an excuse to attempt to drive people to come speak to us through Discord and have fun and have great conversations. So come join us. That's where the real talk happens. The Discord. So this is just a small spot every Thursday to kind of make public the way that we love to share about games and so on and so forth. But come in and join us because the rest of the week we're all having fun and talking to each other and being nice and hopefully furthering our love for TTRPGs.
Yes. We love this hobby. It is a hobby. We're not making any money whatsoever for doing this.
None.
Fortunately.
But yeah,
I
hey,
wish
what's
Ghost
up?
would pay us.
Hey, I know, right? Yeah, but I'm
At
doing,
least dental.
doing all the hard work about OBS and all that stuff. But whatever. All right, okay. So, real talk. Like we do this because we want to, and we hope you join us every single Thursday or on the chats, Discord, on Twitch when we go live. So yeah, just join us.
Table Talk RPG _.
Oh, by
That's
the way,
Table Talk RPG _.
Yes. So, by the way, if you didn't know, Table Talk RPG is actually what games are called in Japan. If you didn't know, they're not called tabletop; they're called Table Talk. So, yeah, funny.
I didn't know that.
Just fun fact. But yeah.
This
And
useless trivia has been brought to you by
the Ethereal Ghost. Okay. Anyway.
the
all right.
Ethereal Ghost. Thank you guys. Thank
All
you
right,
so
thank you,
much.
guys.
Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the
Week.
night, week,
Yeah.
See
month.
ya.
Yeah. Week.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.